Hey friends, I'm back in the Old Testament again. Jewish Publication Society, 1955, Hebrew, English, Tanakh. I'm back in the book of Isaiah. Once again, Jewish prophet who lived about 750 years before the Common Era, that's BCE. And I'm going to read a very controversial prophecy that appears in chapter 7, verse 14. It's just one line, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Here's how it goes. It says, "Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." Well, it's kind of interesting that in the Hebrew, the word therefore, virgin, alma, frequently has two meanings. It could mean young maiden or young girl, and it also could mean virgin. So, of course, if you read it as virgin, it's implying and obviously points to the figure that you know as Yeshua or Jesus, of which the rabbis are uncomfortable with that. So they will argue and say that that word is young maiden, except, of course, the fact that there's no great sign there. Nothing has happened out of the ordinary. It says they shall call his name Emmanuel. Well, in the Hebrew, it's not really Emmanuel. It's two words. It's Immanuel, God with us. So it's saying the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name God with us. Well, that makes it a little bit more threatening. But here's really the most important fact that we have to know. I'll try to explain it as simply as I can. It's not complicated. And you can always replay it, and you can, check it out for yourself. But when the Jewish people were dispersed to Babylon and they returned, they had lost the ability to understand, speak Hebrew. So the rabbis of the day, the Greek Empire had taken over and Hellenized the area, so the Jews spoke Greek. And the only way that they can understand the Tanakh, the Old Testament, was if it was written in Greek. So 70 rabbis translated the Bible into Greek. It's known as the Septuagint. That's the Greek word for 70. So they translated it, and the year that it was completed was somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 BCE, meaning that they wrote and translated the Tanakh before the Common Era, before the birth of Yeshua or Jesus. So they were not skewed by their thoughts of this polarizing figure being on the planet and claiming to be the Messiah. And if you look at the Septuagint, now the Greek language is much more explicit and much larger vocabulary than the Hebrew. They have many words they could have chosen for that word virgin. And they chose the word Parthenos, which specifically means virgin. So they had an option of many different words to use, but yet they chose virgin, meaning that they can tell from the understanding of the way the text was written that God was intending that verse that he gave to Isaiah to pen. Understand that the prophet just penned it. The words came from God. So they chose the word virgin, Parthenos. Here's something that is even more amazing as you read the Septuagint. It reads like this: "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive in the womb, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call him Emmanuel, or God with us." The difference between the two, the rabbis added the word conceive in the womb. Now, I got to tell you, I didn't quite know where conception takes place, but my wife certainly does, having had 6 kids. And conception takes place in the fallopian tubes. But of course, if you have some kind of a supernatural birth, it doesn't have to go into the fallopian tubes to be conceived and then move up into the uterus. When they implant into a woman for artificial insemination, it is planted directly into the uterus. You don't need a man. And obviously, God didn't need a man in this particular rendering. So it's kind of amazing that it says specifically in the Septuagint that the conception took place in the womb, and it was omitted here in the standard Masoretic text of what we all read today in our Bibles, which was done post-Yeshua. Tremendous prophecy, once again pointing to a supernatural birth of a son. So I would suggest get a hold of a Bible. I know you probably don't have one, and I know that's probably the first time that you've read that. I'm going to continue to read verses, prophecies from the Old Testament. So I hope that makes an impact, and go check it out with your rabbi, see what he's got to say. Until next time, have a great day.